Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your host, Jay, and thank you guys so much for being here and watching another live episode right here on our Man's Night. It's a privilege and honor to see you guys all in here, and we have an interesting podcast for you guys here tonight, and I think you guys are going to be interested nonetheless, and I hope you guys appreciate all of the work and whatnot we put into tonight's show. And we have, we're going to tear into some of the details and facts, if you guys will, when it comes to the information on this topic tonight, the Mendez brothers. And if you guys remember, this was a case that happened way back, and they got charged with some pretty hefty and heinous crimes. But now things have changed thanks to everything with technology and whatnot. But before we get into all the facts with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into the chat and say hi to everybody real quick. My good friend Curtis is in here. What's up, Curtis? How you doing so much? Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you're good over there in your neck of the woods. And then he also said, this guy's in the chat real quick. Curtis also said, honestly, I don't know whether they were guilty or innocent. Well, we're going to break down the facts, and after it was all said and done, I guess you can be your own judge on that there, my friend, and see for yourself. And then we got Tammy in here. She says this: hi, everyone. Love, light, and tall. Absolutely. We can't, go on without any of that. So thank you so much, Tammy, for that. So with that being said, speaking of our good friend Tammy, please give a nice warm welcome to our co-host, Tammy, to the show. Welcome, Tammy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Sorry for being late. Sometimes things happen beyond my control. So
life happens. We know, Jay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we got Vicky in here real quick before we get into the details tonight. Vicky said, hello, Jay and Tammy and everyone. How you doing, Vicky? Thank you so much for being here. And Curtis said, hello, Vicky. So anyways, with that said, before we tear into it, just, I always got to ask you, Tam, so what's your take and how do you feel about this whole scenario? Because there's a mixed bag of different emotions on these brothers. So what's your take on all this? What do you think?
Well, I want to say first and foremost, this was a very hard case to research and listen to all the details from the very beginning to where they are currently in life. They have healed so much, and so many things are different about their lives than what they were as. Basically, they were adults, but they were still childlike in their thinking. Mm-hmm. And it's no wonder all the details that I've heard. And there's a lot. It goes a lot further than just the boys, just the family history, especially on the father's side. And
right.
for family on both sides of the fence, the father's and the mother's sister, all defend the boys. And you don't see that typically when it's a case like this that was so horrific. There was so much rage in the way they went about this whole theory of they did it for the money. Back in the 80s, when I was growing up, we all thought they did it for the money, but we didn't know. And we didn't go into detail about emotional things and abuse and mental health. All of that wasn't really talked about like it is now.
Right. And there was obviously, from what I've gathered from reading some details of it, there's some abuse and whatnot going on inside the family, which caused them to do what they did. And we're going to tear into some of that. And this is the part where everybody that's watching, including my co-host, me, and everybody in the chat, this is where, these are the type of cases that we all have to figure out what's what, because obviously the courts are deciding this and the judges and the prosecution and all that. So it's a mixed bag. my question for you, Tammy, and I'm pretty sure everybody's asking the same thing. Do you think they did it? Do you think they're guilty? And do you think this new thing that's coming down for tonight's topic, anyways, is a good thing?
Well, okay, so it all got reopened with TikTok. TikTokers went and did some digging.
Yeah, it went
found
viral.
new evidence and found things, and some things were exposed.
Mhm.
Here's the thing. Yes, they did it. Why they did it is the issue.
Mhm.
And how and when was also a big part of the issue, because at their first trials, the juries were hung. It was hung juries. They declared a mistrial. And then they did their appeals, and all the evidence that was introduced at the mistrial, especially on the defense side, they did not allow witnesses to testify. They did not allow a lot of evidence in. And the reason being behind a lot of that, and I know there's a lot of people that do not like Leslie Abramson. Sorry,
No, you're
Miss
good.
Abramson. I'm so sorry to. It's a mouthful to say her name. Anyway, she specifically was right. What happened was, when during their time in awaiting for their appeal trials, and they were tried separately, not like in the movie when they're together. They were tried separately on the appellate side of the fence.
Okay.
Well, what happened was, O.J. Simpson at that time was tried, and
I remember that.
he got released, and he won his trial and all that stuff.
Yeah, that
So
was
the
instant.
judicial system was really pissed at that point, because his money helped him get out of that mess, is the way they saw it. And so
Imagine
they
that.
were and they were pissed. So when Eric and Lyle went, because they went before the same court system in the same place, they were actually in jail with them. Lyle or Eric, I believe it was Lyle, was next to OJ. They had cells right next to each other, in fact. And he knew them, and they knew him, because their dad, part of their dad's, I'm trying to give y'all a little background, but the dad worked for Hertz at one point, and he hired OJ to do commercials.
Oh, interesting.
So the dad knew OJ. They ran in the same circles because of the tennis and all of that. The tennis, OJ played tennis. He hung out in those country club atmosphere around those type of people. They were all wealthy in their own rights.
Right.
And so, anyway, long story short, because the judges, the DA's office looked like ass from OJ, the boys got the backlash of all of that. They were the next high profile case to come back up. They were the first on the list. So the judge didn't let them have their fair day in court. I mean, more than half of their evidence was not presented. The cousin that testified of knowing of the abuse, she was not allowed to testify. Teachers, really important people in the boys' lives were not allowed to testify.
Okay.
And so the jury only heard one side of the fence. Does that sound familiar?
Oh gosh, mention that.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot in all of this. I can tell y'all that there's been an allegation of the father. Now, the father immigrated from Cuba with his parents when he was 16 to the States. He got a swimming scholarship in Illinois, and got an education for free from swimming. And then he went to New York, to Queens, and he got another degree there. And that's what set off his career. He actually had hopes of becoming a senator, and then going from there and getting Lyle and Eric into politics, and then becoming president.
Wow.
He had very strict, but his mother, there was an allegation that his mother abused him. And therefore he abused Lyle first. Lyle then abused Eric himself as well, his own brother. And then the father abused Eric, and Lyle wanted to protect him in his own mind. You see where that triangle is crazy, right?
Right.
And so Lyle,
well, yeah.
But he had an affinity, the father, more for Eric than he did Lyle. And then Eric got to the point he couldn't take it anymore because it was severe on the sadistic side of the SA abuse. And Lyle confronted the mom like a night or two before this happened, it was within 2 days of this occurring. And the mother said, yes, of course I knew. You think I'm stupid?
Right.
And
wow.
So that's where the rage for her was, the fact that she knew and wouldn't do anything.
Well, like OJ's case, like this case, and like so many others that are out there, this is an interesting case. It's like all over the place.
It's crazy.
But anyways, we're going to tear into the facts, guys. We're going to do share screen, as you guys know. We're going to show you guys the data and information when it comes to this case, this story, and they're back in the news. They're back. If you guys haven't been paying attention, or if you haven't got social media where this comes up, they're back in the picture, guys. Believe it or not. And it's very very insane, I guess, just like Destiny England said just here. That's insane. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, Destiny. So yeah, and this is why we do these shows, because again, it's all about the facts, it's all about the truth, and not so much the lies and the deceit and other bull crap over there. Because I don't bring this up on this podcast. It's unnecessary. Everybody else does it. I don't need to. Let them do what they do, and I'm going to do what I do. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do the share screen. And I think there's no typical order that we're going to go in, but we're just going to go ahead and show you guys some articles and some couple videos. And you guys, again, after it's all said and done, after come back into the studio, we're going to go ahead and let you guys have at it and tear in here and let us know what your thoughts and opinions and whatnot are for the duration of this podcast for tonight. It's Friday night, and it's looking forward to the weekend and all of that. So let's go ahead and tear into nonetheless. Thank you, Vicky, for your comment. Appreciate it as always. So Tammy, if you want to help me do the data sharing and all that, or to read the data, I guess we can do that right now. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna talk about this right here first, I think, because I think this is important. What you guys are seeing.
Is this the
Express?
Okay, let me go to it.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I have to verbalize this just so they don't think I'm trying to rob or take their credibility. So just for shits and giggles, before I tear into this, guys, what you see here is a website called Express. All information and data and links and all of that are in the description of this live tonight. So go check it out. Anyways, all credit and whatnot that is here that you see on your screen is right there. It's called Express. All right.
And they're in the UK. That's how widespread this is. This is everywhere, guys. I mean,
yeah, correct. This is worldwide. But anyways, this is. I'll highlight it real quick, guys. Here it is. I hope you guys can see this for your guys' viewing and eyes. Mendez Brothers, new evidence update and latest on case. Yep, you heard that correctly. And right down below that is a video. I'm gonna show you the trailer of this again. I don't know if Netflix is going to allow me to do this or not, but again, all credit goes to Netflix too for putting this on for the trailer. Anyways, I'm not here to take any of their credit. I hope it's safe nonetheless. Let me get that out of the way. All right, so let's go ahead and play this real quick. Again, if you guys have Netflix and you want to see this, go watch it. Here it is.
Everyone asks why we do it. Maybe now people can understand the truth. My name is Eric Mendez. My name is Lyle Menendez, calling you from Donovan Correctional Facility. Lyle was the only person that had ever protected me. What happened that night is very well known, but so much hasn't been told.
If anyone had written this for a script in Hollywood, the Hollywood people would have gone, no way.
The Menendez case is one of the most infamous criminal trials in America. The brothers accused of the murder of their wealthy parents in Beverly Hills.
It was like an incredible soap opera.
Jose was a successful businessman. Kitty was the caring mother. Two boys, emblematic of wealth and privilege. Why would you kill your parents?
As the prosecutor, I knew it was plain old greed.
There was a media spectacle from the beginning, so we were not the ones who told the story of our life. We looked like the perfect family, but behind the walls, something very wrong was happening.
What did he do to you? Now there's the TikTok movement to free the Menendai.
There's a new generation that supports brothers. People are looking at the case with fresh eyes.
Two kids still commit this crime for money. And there's people that believe I shouldn't spend the rest of my life in prison.
That judge is determined he was going to get a conviction.
These kids went through some horrible things. I'm telling you now, it's all fake. And if you don't know it's fake, that me off.
There is no evidence saying they're not guilty.
We would much rather lose the murder trial than talk about the six secrets of the family.
There you guys have it, and I'm going to come back into the chat real quick so you guys can talk about this some more. So you guys can see, so there is like anything, guys, look, and I've said this time and time before since I've been doing this on this podcast, sometimes these crimes, like what these two individuals did to their parents, there has to be another leading cause, if you get my drift, when it comes to people committing crimes. Now, it's not every day you go to bed and wake up the next morning and try to think, oh, what should I do to destroy my family? Because you don't want to do anything to hurt or destroy your family. But when it comes to supposedly, again, I can't say or speculate one way or another if this type of abuse, and I'm not going to get into details of what that is because YouTube don't like that, unfortunately. But there was abuse obviously going on within the household, which made those two boys snap and do what they did.
And listen, they're not the only ones that Mr. Menendez is accused of doing this to. Do you guys all remember? I mean, I don't know. Some of you will, some of you won't. If you don't, go look them up. There was a boy band that was very popular. They were of Latino descent. They were called Menudo. Jose represented them. One of those young men of that group had accused him of doing SA to him as well. So,
see?
and that's the problem with it. And like I said, there was a cousin that was aware, actually two, I believe, and there were other family members that suspected things. But nobody spoke up because back then, you just didn't do what they do now. And there are two different shows on Netflix. I will say I've watched both of them. The one you just showed, and there's another one called Monsters.
Yeah, and
I really encourage you guys to go watch them because they're very informative. They really go into stuff a lot deeper.
Correct. And it just goes to show again that I don't think, obviously, from what I've gathered and what I know somewhat about these two boys in this case itself as a whole, I can tell you guys honestly that, when you have like what, Tammy hit on to a certain extent, when you have that kind of abuse going on inside of a household, okay, you guys will be amazed at what happens.
And it wasn't just
no.
like, okay, like that abuse is bad enough, right, Jay? We can both agree just that in of itself is a horrific thing to endure. But
Correct.
there was also a sadistic manner in which things took place to cause torturous pain. Let me put it that way. There were things used to cause torture as well.
Sure. No, I get it. So trauma
that they felt, right?
Correct. Absolutely correct, Tammy. And the the abuse that happens in any household can and does, backed up by data and research and science, that it can trigger this kind of stuff. It triggers people. I'm walking, talking proof of it. Now, I didn't get triggered what happened to me when I was a kid. For some reason, I'm more mentally strong than some, but my other sibling that I have, who's still currently locked up, didn't do too well. He snapped over abuse, and he ended up, committing some heinous crimes like these boys. And she's still in there. She's been in there since 1994.
It changed the whole landscape of who Jay's brother, now sister,
correct,
because she has transformed herself.
Yeah,
maybe
I can
mentally into female. So we will respectfully call her Jay's sister now. But the thing about it is, guys, I mean,
it happens though.
Things happen, and it destroyed your family, did it not, Jay? It made it worse than it already was.
I'll never forget that day. September, I want to say it was September 22nd. Gosh dang it. Anyways, 1994. So the anniversary was just here not too long ago. So yeah, 1994. Anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the other portion of the data tonight, guys. Again, if you want to know where all this information I'm showing you guys tonight on the screen, again, it's in the description. I appreciate every single one of you guys being in here. Love and respect you all with that. But anyways, let's go ahead and do the other two pieces of data that my good friend and co-host Tammy shared with me tonight, so you guys can get a general idea of what's going on here. This is another video, so just bear with us, guys, and I hope you guys appreciate what we're showing you. This is, again, the channel's name is called Entertainment Tonight, ET. You guys know who this is. Pretty well-known company and organization. Again, all credit, again, guys, I hope ET hears this. All credit goes to ET for putting this on. I'm not taking any of it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into this video. Please pay attention to some of the details and facts of this, and then we'll hit the other video, and then the rest will be open up for debate, comments, questions, concerns. Are you ready for this, Tammy?
Yeah, ready.
All right. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. And again, thank you guys for being here and being a part of the show.
I think that to say they're cautiously optimistic is probably the best way to put it. This has been a long slog for them, and the habeas has been, we're going on month 18. So they understand patience. If you ask me what I hope for, I hope to celebrate Thanksgiving with them.
We are reviewing the information, but I think it's also important that we recognize that both men and women can be the victims of sexual assault.
Well, the DA is looking at the case because the judge asked them to, and we've been working together cooperatively to get them more information, more documents, more mitigation evidence, and we've been doing that. I think the reason that the DA came out, it was actually quite a brave move in advance of an election, because anytime you take a stance in a case that has a lot of attention on it, you're going to be accused of things. But in this case, the DA said, look, I plan on making a decision. I'm going to make the decision. I think that's incredibly brave.
What I want to make very clear, we have not conceded one way or the other. We're not saying that there was anything wrong with the original trial. We have been given evidence.
We filed the habeas in May of last year, and we've been doing all kinds of work in getting the district attorney's office materials and things that they may or may not have known about. And they've, to their credit, they've been taking it very seriously. So I'm hopeful that at the end of the day, they make a decision this month, as Mr. Gascon said he would, and I'm hopeful that they're released. One of the things we've supplied is the family, through their lawyer, Brian Friedman, has signed a letter urging the DA to resentence them. And 24, fully 24 of the family members, including siblings and cousins and nieces and nephews, have all asked for a resentencing in this case.
None of this information has been confirmed. We are not, at this point, ready to say that we either believe or do not believe that information.
Well, I think that we've evolved in the last 35 years. I think what we thought was acceptable or possible 35 years ago, we now know was a very limited view. And I think that's part of the reason that a younger generation understands that and gets it. I just think that anytime you've been through that kind of trauma, to now see that kind of society has caught up with you. And I've said this before, if they were the Menendez sisters, they wouldn't be in custody.
They say that you look dead in the eyes. They say your eyes are black. They call you a psychopath.
I think that Monsters had unintended consequences. I think that the caricature that was Monster so inflamed the people who are supportive that backlash is what was helpful. Amongst certain people or certain demographics, they're frozen in time from the trial, which was 30 years ago. The work they're doing now is so good, is so productive, it has such ramifications. I think that is what the message I'd like to get out. They're doing great work while being incarcerated. I can't think of two more exemplary people with very little hope who still continue to do massively good work. I think first and foremost is putting together a life on the outside that they have not had.
So there you guys have it. And again, that was all ET. Credit goes to them. So thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate it, guys, over there. All right. Last but not least, one more video. Hold on a second. Why is that doing that? 1 second, guys. Apologize. One more video coming up.
I don't know if it's a video or if it's an article. I think so.
My article. Bad. You're right. You're right. It's an article. Did you want to spin off on this one, Tammy?
Yes. Let me. I'm getting it up right now. Not a problem. Hang on just a second.
No worries.
Just gotta throw you off to the side over there, Jay.
Fine. Be that way.
Article 1. Here we go.
Anyways, this is Hollywood Reporter. All credit goes to Hollywood Reporter, just so everybody knows. All right, go ahead, Tammy.
Okay, Menendez brothers speak directly to TikTok movement, sharing differing views on hope amid the renewed case interest. The incarcerated Eric and Lyle speak out in a companion podcast to Netflix's newly released The Menendez Brothers documentary. Mm-hmm. When Court TV began re-airing the first trial of Eric and Lyle Menendez during the pandemic, an entirely new generation became aware of the 1990s murder case that was a media sensation years before they were born. The Beverly Hills brothers were 18 and 21. Like I said, they were of a different mindset, though.
Still pretty young.
They were still in high school mentality-wise, to be honest. When they shot and killed unalived their parents, their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, in 1989. Now I'm going to show that I'm older than dirt because that was the year I graduated. So I was there in the midst of, as an 18-year-old kid, I was the same age as them.
Right.
Their initial
1993. Sorry, Timmy, to interrupt. Sorry about that, guys. 1993 is the year I graduated from high school. Holy crap!
And that's when their initial trial started. I was about to say in 1993 was their initial trial, where they were tried jointly and with separate juries. Ended in a hung jury. The female jurors, and this was very interesting. The female jurors, with their self-defense argument that both boys have been essayed physically and emotionally by their father since they were children, and that their mother in the know, they feared for their lives, but the male jurors did not. So that's what split the juries, is all the males wanted conviction, all the females did not. But back
pretty
then, pretty
biased and judgmental right there when it's a split from the different genders.
Well, also think back in 1980s, 70s, 80s, people didn't think, it wasn't until I would say mid 2000s when the internet started really coming about and people could do their own research and whatnot, that people didn't think that boys were hurt like that.
No.
They didn't believe it was always
Just
girls.
just
That's the only
girls.
thing.
Yep.
Yep. So the first trial was a hung jury. It was not something that a jury of their peers was able to convict them on. And it was almost retried for a whole new generation in real time in 2020. And people were very emotional about it. Ross Dinerstein, producer of Netflix's The New Menendez Brothers documentary, recently explained in a chat with The Hollywood Reporter about how Court TV's revisiting of the case helped spawn a TikTok and social media movement calling for the release of Eric and Lyle. So TikTok, another thing, on that is that's probably why they want it shut down. The truth comes out eventually. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there that's not true. But just like there's a lot of stuff that's not true, there's a lot of truth out there on TikTok too as well.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
all
I
the
mean,
other social media platforms.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just proved it again. Back in the day in the 90s, before what you're seeing on the screen was even invented in here, we had to do data and research. If you were that, hell bent on wanting to do so, you had to go to the library and pull out the cue cards or the cards, and you had to go through old newspapers and whatever else you needed. Microfilm. Oh, I remember those. Yeah, microfilm and all the other things, guys, that you had to look up data from back in the day. Now you got the crap right here in front of our face, just a fingertip away. You got all kinds of devices. I mean, and this is what happens. You bring this type of technology to the table. Now you're going to hear about the Menendez brothers. Now, see how this works?
Mm-hmm. It really kickstarted interest again. Echoed his Campfire Studios partner on the doc, Rebecca Evans. Today, people are looking at cases like this, cases of abuse, in a different way. So, our documentary was an opportunity to tell their story, both for us and for them, in a different time when people are thinking about things differently. The producer said that the incarcerated brothers who were serving in life in prison without parole after their second trial verdict and sentencing in 1996, the judge barred the defense from including testimony about the abuse and took manslaughter off of the table. They were convicted of first-degree unaliving. Had gotten wind of a shift in cultural support, and that's partly what motivated them to jointly speak out for the first time in decades for the Campfire Studios project. The 2-hour the Menendez Brothers documentary released on Netflix Monday. Now, the 3-episode companion podcast introducing the Menendez Brothers features audio from Eric and Lyle opening up to the director, Alejandro Hartman, via phone interviews that were conducted in 15-minute increments due to the prison communication restraints from the Donovan Correctional Facility. I'm so sorry, guys. Where they were reunited in 2018. Yeah, that was another thing. After they got convicted, they separated them on purpose, intentionally, to divide them. It was terrible. The timeline around this push to free the Menendez has grown louder in recent weeks following the Netflix first releasing Ryan Murphy's scripted series Monsters, the Eric and Lyle Menendez story. I'm telling you guys, that tells a lot in that story. There is a lot that's left out. I recommend you read the articles that Jay's posted. The videos that he showed came with articles, and they go into a lot of detail. You'll learn a lot about the family and the history and everything there as well. That Menendez, the Monsters, it quickly shot to #1 on the streamer, and now is #2 behind the rom-com Nobody Wants This. In between the release of the Monsters and the Menendez doc, the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office announced the brothers' habeas corpus petition, which they filed in 2023, was now under review, and that they will make a decision on whether it warrants a resentencing. A hearing is set for November 29th. And so it tells you to read more about the steps that led to the petition there. So anybody that's doing a habeas corpus, I recommend that you read all of this information, which we will get into what writs of habeas corpus are what they can do, what they apply to, how they work on Wednesday's podcast.
Yeah, I think that's very fitting. Yeah, that's very fitting and very educational because, again, not a lot of people out there, guys, know, believe it or not, there's a lot of tricks of the trade when it comes to the courts and the system as a whole. There's always mistakes, there's always loopholes, and there's always ways to get around things. You just got to know. And education is the key thing to help any and all that are dealing with some type of legal battle. There's always going to be mistakes. Always remember that. There was mistakes, massive amount of mistakes in my case, Tammy's husband's case, you name it. Everybody, there is not one case that's out there, including this one that we're talking about here tonight, guys, that's going to be unscathed, perfect.
And it's corruption. It's corruption at its best, because I want you guys to realize
I'm going to come back in the chat.
First trial where everybody was hung jury, the second trials, the appeals, it says right here in this article, the judge did not allow the abuse testimony at all, and
Correct.
He did not let them put manslaughter on the table. So he was already saying, this is what you're allowed to do, jury, and only this. Right. You can either let them go or they have to be convicted of this.
Correct.
That there was a black and white line drawn, and you had to be on one side or the other, and there was no going back. No. And so one other thing that came in here too was they had the petition, of course, right? The petition, which could be the brothers' last opportunity for a review since they are out of appeals. They have no more appeals, guys. Contains new evidence that includes a letter written by a young Eric that his attorney says corroborates the allegations that he was essayed by his father. They filed their petition after another person came forward in 2023, Menudo band member Rossello, with allegations against their father as well. And listen, nobody has anything to gain by this. This guy coming forward from the band, from the group, he almost would not want to do that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing there. He's a very brave individual to come forward and say, look, this happened to father when he was in my life as an adult who helped me with my entertainment career. And look at what we're going through with that right now with P. Diddy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, this is another Hollywood case that ties into all of that stuff. And Epstein, people in power, you guys can go read this article. It tells a lot of stuff. And I want to tell you, they talk about self-entitled white people and self-entitled this, self-entitled that. There is that. And I'm white and I'm going to say it. But there is also self-entitled, just rich people, period.
Yeah.
And not all rich people are bad, but his father, Jose Menendez, came over here at 16, but he came from a father who was a soccer player professionally in Cuba, who was inducted to the Hall of Fame in Cuba. And he had a very big empire himself in Cuba.
Yeah.
So that family runs money. But for them to stand up and say our brother had issues, our cousin had issues, he did this to these boys and we believe them. For them to come from that kind of money, that old money, and them to stand up and say that makes me feel like...
I've heard that term before, old money, new money. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me feel like, yes, there was definitely some foul play here. And I think they did not even come close to getting the truth that should have come with this. You know, let people make a judgment on somebody's life. Those guys have been in there since 1989.
Oh, that's longer than my sister.
Or 90. Maybe 90, they got arrested. I don't know. But their trial started in 93. So, you know, they were in jail for a couple days after. I mean, they might have been
so
running
that's
around maybe 6 months.
give or take. That's over 30 years, give or take some. That's 3 decades of their life being locked up. And yeah, wow, that's crazy.
Instead of getting them mental help, instead of treating the problem, the root of the problem, right? How many times?
Which we already know what we already knew what the root of the problem is.
Instead of treating that.
Right. Instead of looking into it, like with, I have to bring up my family. But this is the only thing I can think of how I can explain it.
I know it's a trigger too.
It's we had issues, but again, it was all shoved under the rug, guys. They didn't. My family, my grandparents, whatever, were in denial. They didn't want to, like for example, I'll use me for example. I was in special need classes. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. When I was in my school days,
yeah. I do.
Special need. I couldn't, be involved, if you will, in the normal classes. I had to have special ed, special teachers, special treatment because I couldn't. I was different. Okay, when it comes to kids, I would instead of focusing what I'm doing, I always looked out the window. I couldn't stay focused. I mean, when recess hit, when like grade school, I was in grade school. Recess hit, I was watching. That kept me in class. I wanted to be out there and play with the kids. I had to stay in, in the dunce hat. And yeah, it's just I got treated like dog crap in school. I got teased a lot, bullied until I got high school age. Then I wasn't bullied no more because I fought back. After a while, something switches you, something changes you, something triggers you. And, after a while, you just get fed up to say, if I'm not going to get the help, I'm not going to get this, I'm not going to get that, then I'll do it myself. People take the law in their own hands. Go ahead, Tammy.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how politically this is going to roll out. And I think they're going to judge it on base that DA is going to make his decision off of political climate.
Right there. And yeah,
I agree, Curtis. 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
I really think that's what we're looking at is okay, we're getting all this pressure. If we don't do this, what's going to happen to our careers?
Right. Well, yeah. And thank you, Curtis. I appreciate that. So this is what I think this is my prediction. And I don't know if anybody else will agree with me. I see them either getting a way lesser sentence or time served and released, or just released from their trial with this new trial that's going to come up. That's what I think is going to happen. What do you think, Tammy?
I think they get, at bare minimum, I think they get a new trial. I think at best case scenario, they get time served and they're released or released with parole.
Correct. Yep. And my good friend Curtis says, I understand, Jay. Yeah, absolutely. It's to a lot of people, it's not hard to understand. But if it is hard for you to understand, it's because you probably most likely have never been there, done that. My childhood was rough. Tammy's childhood was rough. Countless other people I've talked to privately, their childhood was rough. I'm not going to say my childhood was, 24/7 bad. I have some good memories. Don't get me wrong, guys. I do. I have some very, very great memories, but I also have my fair share of bads. All right.
This sounds terrible, horrible. Ugh, I can't even talk because
now you're like me.
It triggers me. This is the thing. I was talking to my husband tonight, and I said,
"Thank you, Curtis."
We were, or actually, it was last night, and we were talking about something about a hobby, about fishing, and he went through some really rough stuff as a kid. And I said to him, did you have a good time? Was that one of your happy memories with your dad? Because he had a rough time with his father. There was no SA, but there was definitely emotional, mental, and physical abuse. And so I asked him, I said, so when y'all went fishing together, was that a happy memory? He said, kind of. But, and I said, you know what, honey? I said, I can only think of 2 times around my mother that are happy memories in my whole entire life. I'm 53 years old, and I cannot think of happy memories with her.
Right.
And it's sad when you sit and you look at your life and you go,
Yeah.
wait a minute, can I come up with anything? It's like, this was a weird thing for me. I would always send her and my grandmother birthday cards and make sure I did Mother's Day. And every year at Mother's Day, when I went to go pick a card for my mother, I had a hard time because all those sentimental cards did not apply. I had to get a funny one, or I had to get something,
that makes
just
sense.
very plain Jane, because I did not have those feelings. And people are like, do you love your mother? And I was like, no.
See, and
That's
I'm in the same.
horrible, but it's, yeah,
I'm in the same boat with you, Tammy. Sorry again to cut you off. It's time delayed.
No, you're good.
I'm in the same boat with you when it comes to how I feel about my father. So many people, have said, which I've done, but then got crushed again by doing that, was you need to learn, and I'm sure somebody's told you this, Tammy, you need to learn how to forgive what your father or your mother has done. And in this case, my father. And I don't get me wrong, folks, and Tammy, I did before all of this other new or some recent new stuff has happened. I have done my fair share, my part to, forgive, if that makes any sense. I had my wife sit down with me and tell me in a lengthy, somewhat good, decent, respectful conversation and said, I know you're angered. I know you have a lot of anger and animosity and whatnot about your father and everything that he put you through. But you got to find it in your heart to forgive him. And I said, oh, okay. Swallow the lump. And, I had to swallow my lump or my pride. And folks, listen, it wasn't hard. It wasn't easy by any means. And then when I lived with him, this recent last time, it was a few years back, I stood right there in front of him and I said, I forgive you for all the things you've done to me from a manly perspective. And that took a lot of, look, guys, that took a lot of guts and whatnot to do. All right. Because the anger, if you guys understand, the anger gets the best of me sometimes. And I'm just so bitter and mad, because what kind of father, guys, again, I'm not trying to stir the Kool-Aid. I'm just keeping it real. What kind of father, can live like that and know that he did all these cruel and unusual treatments? But regardless, I forgave him. And then he crushed me again. And then I get told, well, you got to forgive him. How many times do you have to forgive somebody until they get it? Go ahead, Tammy. And that's a good question. I mean, I think that's a legit, sorry, Tammy. I think that's a legit, honest question. How can you forgive not once, not twice, not three times until you can't no more? Go ahead.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so for me, I stood and I talked to my mother one time. This has been within the last 5-6 years. And I said, I'm sorry for everything that made you feel the way you did about me. I'm sorry for all the things I did and how your feelings in it. But
yeah.
I said, I myself have forgiven you. I've moved on. I know how you feel about me. She says, why do you tell people I hate you? I said, because you do. I said, it's not. I said, do you like me? No.
Yeah.
Do you hate me? Yes. I said, okay, then why are you upset? You want to worry about outside appearances instead of just saying,
thank you, Curtis.
Yeah. Instead of just, hey, I said, you know what? It's okay. I love you because you're my mother, but I don't love you as a person. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You should be too. I said, and the best thing is, I don't want to continue down this road with you anymore, so I'm done.
Yeah.
And you should be too.
Yeah.
We don't like each other. We can't be in the same room together. She makes it out of her way to be hateful and lie. She will actually lie to make people hate me. She tried to make my stepsister hate me, and my
I
stepbrother-in-law, and all the
wouldn't
truth came out, and they found out on their own what
I
she's
wouldn't
about.
I wouldn't put up with that.
All of it. I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm walking away. So what hit me was, let me share this little story with y'all, and maybe it'll help you heal too, because it helped me. You ready?
Sure.
So here's the thing. The very gifted spiritual person that I respect, she's something else. She's very outspoken, and she said to all of us in this group, she said, all of y'all going to these family get-togethers at Thanksgiving and Christmas and all these holidays, and enduring all the abuse and all the hatefulness. She said, I'm sitting my happy ass at home. I am not going to eat food served by people who hate me. I'm not going to ingest that in my body anymore. I am not going to ingest that in my mind, my soul, or any of that anymore. And that hit me like a ton of damn bricks. And so guess what? I informed my sister. I said, I am not going to Thanksgiving this year. She goes, why? I said, because I do not want to eat food off of a table made by the hands of someone who hates me.
Yeah.
And she was like, what do you mean? And like, she thought it was nuts. And I looked at her and I said, I'm just not doing it anymore. Why put on the facade? Why lie? Why sugarcoat it? Listen, all those rich, fancy, nice houses, rich, fancy clothes, nice cars, nice little, what did they call it? Nuclear family, mom and dad and kids, and everything looks perfect on the outside. That's
White,
how I
got another saying. It's called white picket fence life.
There you go. Okay,
the white picket fence. You know, you've seen that in postcards or pictures where you got a nice farmhouse or a house, and you got the white picket fence around the whole property. It just looks so pristine and nice. Yeah, that's fantasy. Carry on.
And so the thing that really and what made me bitter for so many years, I'm going to tell you. All the people that didn't really know us really well, know our family really, really well, they would think that she was the coolest person, the nicest person, this and that. But stick around for a while. Come inside, close the doors.
Yeah.
Join
Live
the
there.
real fun.
Walk on her shoes. Yeah, absolutely.
And it ate me alive to be out in public somewhere, knowing what she really was and what she perceived out in public. And for a long time, I had put my dad on a pedestal, but then I got upset with him because ignorance is not an excuse. And it wasn't until he was on his deathbed that we really made peace with each other 100%. Now, my dad was there for me when I needed things or when things went down, and I was there for him. I worked for him for free when I was in high school and right after. Didn't get paid a cent, and I went and I did it because he needed my help. No questions asked. And anytime he ever asked me in my life, I was there. But it hurt me that it went on for all those years and nothing was ever done about it. He didn't stand. There would be times he'd get pissed and tell my mom, that's enough bullshit, cut it out. And they would get into a big, huge fight, but he never left.
Well, and that's another thing too, Tammy, is like especially my sibling Jay Lee says, how do you do it, Jay? How do you do this? How are you so mentally strong and I'm not? What part of that do you have that I don't? And I had to sit down and for the length of time of phone calls that they're allowed in prison, I had to tell her, you know, it was not fairly easy, but it was from just years of experience and what I went through. I broke it down and I said, look, it's all about the reality, what's real, what's not. It's all about what you want in life as a whole. And if you want to carry this burden, if you will, on you for the rest of your life, you either are going to be the monster or you can change and be something better.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing too with knowledge and classes and things
Education,
like that. Education,
love, unconditional love, I should say. Yep,
yeah,
respect.
And that's one thing everybody can say, well, he's in jail. How do you do it? Blah, 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 blah. You know what? All you naysayers, let me say this. Every morning I get up and I look at my phone, and there's a message there every morning from a person who loves me no matter what I look like, no matter
Bingo.
what comes out of my mouth, no matter what craziness I go through. He loves me
Bingo.
100%, and he is there. He is
Ah, it's
present.
hard. That's what I'm trying to find to Tammy. Yeah, absolutely.
And that matters because you can heal
Unconditional
with
love.
someone with that. You can
Unconditional
heal.
love, Tammy, is something that a lot of people evidently don't really have, or they take for granted. And you got to, there's a lot of things we take for granted, So, and you are one of those select few that actually have what others don't. And people envy and get jealous. And yeah, and I believe I get my fair share of that too, because not everybody would have imagined that my wife would have stuck through this since 2009 all the way to now.
Well, she
You
did
know,
it because she loves you and because
she
you love
loves
her
me
and you have a family.
unconditionally. Yeah,
That's
she
right.
loves me unconditionally, and I don't know if she's watching or sees me. I love you, honey.
Kudos.
But with that being said, I just want to let you guys know that she didn't have to do any of that, guys. I'm one of the lucky fews, like Tammy, and I'm lucky that I had somebody that stuck by my side. I can't. There's no words I can put into that and say how grateful I am about. I am very grateful and thankful for that. But again, it was a rocky road. It wasn't perfect, but these type of things never are. And again, if you're going through whatever it may be, understand, guys, there is life. Believe it or not, there is life after incarceration. Look at the brothers here. They're getting a second chance.
Finally. And you
So
know what? I hope to
all
someday
kudos to
get to
them.
talk to your wife, and I would love to hear her take on how she did it. I know how rough it's been for me since Rick has
Mhm.
been away. From the pre-trial stuff to
Yes,
the
ma'am.
present day incarceration. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, without the support of total strangers that I've had and a lot of the prison chat groups, Texas Mom,
Us,
kudos to
F.I.O.N.
you. I
Yeah,
love you to death, girl.
absolutely.
Um,
Texas mom.
a-
Perfect. Thank you.
all of our followers, everybody in the chat, as much as you have reached out to Jay and I, the
Mhm.
support and love that you all give us means so much. Because I have
Absolutely.
had people that I
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
given support to and loved their whole lives, and I can't even get a phone call sometimes, or a
Well, you know
hey,
what's
how are you
funny?
doing? It's from childhood friends to family to
You
all
just hit
kinds
that
of
on the
stuff.
nail.
And
You hit that on the nail. Yeah, and it's funny that you have family still. I believe, I think, are still alive, correct? But I still have family that's
yeah,
still alive, and
Destiny that was in here, that was my niece,
yeah,
and I have another
yeah,
niece, Melanie, and my brother DJ. I
yeah.
mean,
And what I'm saying, what
they're
I'm
in my
getting at,
life. That's it, though. And my
right? But what I'm saying
stepsister
is, my
Nikki.
father, right? This is my point, and you made a great point. Thank you for bringing it up. And it makes a great point. My father's still alive, and he doesn't even acknowledge me. He don't even know if I'm okay with the storm. He doesn't even call me. But I get it. He's anger. He's different. And he never really. Let's be honest. He really never wanted to be a father.
Let's
So
put it this way: they have so much hate for themselves that's what it is. Listen,
hi,
they're
Destiny.
broken. They're
Yeah.
so broken, they can't
Mhm.
see the light of day. They're swallowed up by their darkness. And as
Yeah.
long,
Well,
high destiny, and as long as they can take and throw stones at everybody else, they don't have to look at themselves. They don't have to deal with their own inner bitterness, anger, hatred, whatever the hell's broken in them. They don't want to face that. They would much rather make everybody else suffer on their level. So
miserable
we
like they.
don't have
Yep.
to do that. My niece that's in here, and my other niece,
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
mother does not acknowledge them. She
I'm very.
acknowledged my kids,
So
but
for so
it was for a purpose. It was to use them as a weapon against me later on.
yeah.
So
Well, to
so
Destiny and your side of the family and some of your folks in here, Tammy, again, I'm sorry for what you all endured. Destiny, I'm sorry for what happened to you too as well. So I'm here.
yeah,
Um,
and but you know what? They all persevered, and I was not going to let indifferences that I had or disagreements on occasion,
mhm.
whether it be with my brother or my sister-in-law. You know what? My brother married her and he loved her, so therefore she was a part of our family, and that by everything made his 2 daughters part of my life. I do not think children should suffer for adult bullshit.
No,
Let
that
me
should
be
be
the
separate.
first to say that.
That should
If
separate.
you have extended family, the kids should not suffer because the adults are too stupid to get along. I get along with my brother, you know. I'm not saying that because we're adults, and we pretty much have always had each other's back for the 99.9% of the time.
Yeah. Well,
but
I relate, and this is all fitting because I actually haven't done it in a while, and I've actually come out with a new segment, guys, for the channel. If you guys have seen it, I've done it twice. If I do a new one, it'll be the 3rd episode. You guys have seen me in either on this portion of this podcast or the other podcast that I do, where I do Imagine That segments. You've heard me say the word Imagine That. It's not just a word; it's an actual segment and a show to a certain extent that I've decided to try to roll out. But for the duration of the last part of this podcast, guys, I want to do something special because I believe it's fitting for this case, for what we're talking about, and everything related to this podcast. I do for tonight, because it's been a while, I do have a special from Imagine That segment that I want to put on, if that's okay with you, Tammy. And
absolutely.
And do that. And what we're going to do, we're going to come back and we're going to say what we need to say and update you guys. Tin Man got a hold of me yesterday. Want to know what the storm update was with this recent hurricane that just hit Florida. I got an update with that. And then, of course, Tammy, if you want to hit on again in more detail what's coming up Wednesday, you're more than welcome to do that because you're a co-host. So you can do that. And then we're going to come back in here and say our goodbyes and all of that and wish you all a happy weekend. With that said, let's get into my special Imagine That segment right here from Inside Out.
Of second chances. What if life tossed you a lifeline, a real second chance? Would you take it? Once upon a time, in a tiny hamlet, lived a man named Sam. Sam was a carpenter by trade, a man with a golden heart, but he had a weakness: gambling. His addiction was so intense that he lost everything: his home, his family, and his self-respect. His life was a shipwreck, and he was drowning in his own mistakes. One day, in the depths of his despair, Sam found a stray dog, injured and whimpering by the roadside. Something stirred within him. He took the dog home, cared for it, nursed it back to health. In the process, he discovered a love for animals that he never knew he had. Sam started to change. He stopped gambling and started working more. He used his carpentry skills to build shelters for stray animals. His home became a sanctuary, a place of refuge for the voiceless. The man who once had nothing now had a purpose. He was given a real second chance at life, and he took it. The tale of Sam is a testament to the power of second chances. A man who was lost in his vices found redemption in the most unexpected way. His journey was not easy, but it was worthwhile. He turned his life around, not by chance, but by choice. In essence, life is a series of choices. Every decision we make shapes our destiny. Sometimes we stumble, we fall, we make mistakes, but therein lies the beauty of life. It offers us second chances, opportunities to correct our path, to make things right. Remember Sam? He was once a gambler, a lost soul, but when life offered him a second chance, he didn't squander it. He embraced it, turned his life around. Today, he's a beacon of hope, not just for the animals he rescues, but for everyone who knows his story. In conclusion, life is generous. It gives us second chances, but it's up to us to seize them. Second chances are not mere do-overs. They are opportunities to grow, to learn, to change. They are life's way of saying, try again. You can do better. So think about it. What would you do if life gave you a real second chance? Would you take it? Would you make it count? Because remember, in the grand scheme of life, it's not about the mistakes we make, but how we rise from them that truly defines us.
And that's, imagine that. I thought it was fitting. Yeah, it's very fitting because, again, you have to understand that was a very powerful message. Look, he got a second chance. So second chances are real, and everybody deserves them. And the way I look at it, guys, with my podcast here and everything, this is what I would consider not just my calling, but I believe this is my second chance. I'm living my second chance clear across the board, no matter what you want to look at, no matter what somebody, whether it's family, non-family, Joe Blow down the street want to throw stones at me, I will prevail. I will win this battle.
You already have.
No, I know that, but I'm saying people are still throwing stuff at me if you get my drift behind the scenes. But I'm here, and I will prevail, just like you, Tammy, and everybody else.
Use those stones to step on them and rise higher. Keep stacking those stones because that's what I'm doing.
Well, you know what?
I can't wait for the day when I know this sounds so petty. I can't wait for the day that my trolls, my family trolls, and then my other trolls, that they drive by and they go, "Where is she?" And then they call my phone number and they're like, "Where is she?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I cannot wait for that day of freedom. Listen, guys, we only have one life.
So live it to the fullest. Absolutely.
As far as in our human physical body, we only have what, some people are lucky to live to 100. It doesn't usually happen. So
some people broke that record. Some people have broken that record.
Yeah, a few, but it's few and far between. But I mean, you think about it. Say you got 100 years on this life. I'm 53. I am going to live.
I'm 50.
My life how I choose, within the way I choose, and my choice right now. I chose it, and I told you this and another person. I don't want to mention his name, but I told you both in a live. I said this case with him, with my husband, is more than just him now. It's bigger than that.
Right.
I am going to fight until I cannot breathe anymore. They will have to put their knee on my windpipe on the ground and unalive me, because there is corruption and it is going to stop one way or another. And my voice and my pen and paper will not stop until I draw my last breath.
I was just going to say, absolutely. Amen. Amen. And your case, like everybody else's, including mine, we could be the next Menendez brothers. You see?
We could set precedents. I'm watching this case very heavily because it will set.
This opens doors, right? Correct. Believe it or not, guys, this opens doors. Unfortunately, when cases like this come about, everybody's like, "Oh, hey. Everybody's got their opinions," but this, believe it or not, opens doors for everybody else. There's hope. Don't give up. And with that being said, guys, look, like I got to do it. Look, right there. Yes. Success is the best revenge, and I can't stop sharing this with you guys. You guys want this hat, by the way. It's on my merch. Go pick one up now and wear this with pride. Success is the best revenge, and wear it and piss off the haters and trolls. They hate that. They hate when they see success coming from us because, or you're a former convict, you're a former jailbird, you went to prison, you're a loser. Yeah. Well, no, I'm not. And neither are you. Don't let their words rain on your parade. Okay? We are here to do what we need to do, and we just need to put them on the back burner. With that said, Tammy, closing arguments?
I just think that everybody needs to pay very heavy attention to this case.
Yep. We got our eyes on it.
Please, guys, I'm going to put a plea out there one more time. Push your powers that be over at good old Congress to abolish qualified immunity. We got to stop letting these crooked judges, crooked sheriffs, crooked DAs, crooked cops, crooked things. My father was a good cop. It makes it very hard for the good ones to survive. There's good CEOs out there. It makes it very hard for the ones that are doing it right to do it right because there's so much corruption. And until we get the corruption out, we can't stop it. So what I'm asking you all, whether you watch this live or you watch it later on at your leisure, pick up a piece of paper and pen and write to your Congress member and tell them you do not want to see qualified immunity anymore. You want it abolished. They have the power to do that. Yes. Now is the time.
Yeah, and again, not just now the time, but also taking consideration of what year it is now. Right now, guys, we're in basically dang near almost in the middle of October. Can you believe that? November we're in voting time now. You don't have to wait till November. This is election year. This is your chance, believe it or not, right now, guys, to have your voice heard when it comes to our politicians that are going to be in office here soon, thanks to us, the people, the voters. You look, if you want change like me and Tammy and so many others, and you got a passion like me and Tammy and so many others, this is your chance to vote. Vote for the right people that actually want the same thing we want. Otherwise, don't vote for them because then it's hard to get them out.
It's really hard. It's like they get stuck in there like concrete. And I don't think that we can do much more of the suffering of these antiquated laws. I want you guys all to think about this for a moment. 48% of people are incarcerated.
Go ahead.
So if you put that down to just like every 2 people walking around, one of you is going to be incarcerated at some point in your life. Please,
that's amazing.
Please, good Lord, please start thinking about what side of the fence do you really want to be on? One that you actually, the delusional one that we grew up with, thinking that courts had certain rules and things were going to be followed and that you actually had a damn chance if you needed an attorney? Or do you want to be on the side where you're educated, you're knowledgeable, and you realize that there is it's you versus all of them, not you and your court-appointed public pretender versus them. No, because the court pays the public pretender, and the public pretender is not going to work on your case until the day of or the day before, because they're going to work on their private clients.
Yeah.
Money is the way, not the other way around. And when you can't afford an attorney, you're screwed.
There you go.
Just saying. And so, join us please next Wednesday for the
coming up
for the writ of habeas corpus process. What it is.
It's a funny word. It's a funny name, but
bring your notepads and your do a screen record, take screenshots, have your little notepads out. Anybody that is, and even if you did a plea deal, you can still do a writ of habeas corpus.
Yeah.
And we know
it's
98%
education.
takes plea deals, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's education, guys, when it comes to that show on Wednesday. And I don't want you guys to miss it. So be prepared. Do what you got to do. The replays are there. If you missed it, you can watch the replay. That's the beauty about that internet aspect or this podcast thing that I got up here. You can watch it if you missed it. But it's very educational. Regardless, try not to miss it. Be a part of it. We had a pretty good turnout last Wednesday. Tonight, we only had about close to 20 tonight. So it's weird how it does that. But nonetheless, you guys are watching. It's getting out there. And I appreciate every single one of you nonetheless. If you're new here, please sub and subscribe now. Hit that bell. Make sure you turn on the bell. That way you'll get notified, guys, right here when we go live or upload a new video right here on this channel. New things are coming out. I'm going to be uploading, hopefully tonight if I can, the new jokes coming up. I haven't done that in a while. If you like that, let me know. If you want to hear some certain jokes, imagine that series is just me, pre-recorded events, and I'll be doing those more frequently. I'll try to do it when I got time, trying to figure out the better schedule. And then of course Wednesdays and Fridays live with your host, me, Jay, and Tammy, your co-host for live events. So, and then shorts.
And
so
we
many.
try and get special guests. We have
Yes.
some coming up. It's just right now certain events are unfolding, and as the holidays approach, there's certain things we have
Yes,
to do.
which is hard for me.
So,
Hard for me. Holidays are hard for me. With that though, we got a lot of special events. We got some, we're in the works talking, collaborating with some people that we've met on TikTok and whatnot that are, want to try to come up on the podcast. Tammy's in communication with those certain people. I'm going to try to get my special guest up here. I got to figure out a time. They're messing with her, and whatnot. So we got to figure that out. I don't want to spoil it, but when I do, want to be a surprise. That'll be a live event, and I want you guys to be a part of it and listen to that story. I think a lot of you are going to be intrigued, and hopefully it will give you motivation not to abandon your husband or your boyfriend or whatever it is you have, because two people collaborating during incarceration and after incarceration is key. That keeps things keeps him out too. It just keeps everything positive. Relationships important. So with that being said, we're going to hopefully work on that. So Tammy, again, thank you, Tammy, my friend, for helping me out this podcast. I appreciate you. And of course, everybody in the chat, Curtis, Vicky, all of you tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here and being a part of this show. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Love and respect to you all. And with that said, you guys all have a great weekend, and we'll see you this coming Wednesday. Look out for my shorts, look out for my series and my jokes coming up here in the next few days. With that said, good night, Tammy, and everybody take care. Peace, much love, and respect. Good night.
Good night, everyone.